Hi, I hope everyone is doing well. In today's video, we'll be going through a summary of grade 4 topics. Make sure to follow me on all of the socials below, and I have just started a new Telegram group where I'll be offering support and help with everything related to your Maths GCSE, so you can join that if you require extra help. Make sure to have a pen and paper ready as there is a lot of information for us to go through. Let's get started. Below is a list of all of the topics which I'll be covering in today's video. These are fundamental topics which appear both in the higher paper and in the foundation paper, so you need to make sure your understanding of these topics is strong. If you require a detailed explanation, I have created videos on each one of these separately, and you can find the links for these in the description below. Make sure you are attempting as many practice questions as you can for these topics, so when you see them again in the exam, you do not make any unnecessary mistakes. The way this video is structured, I'll give a brief summary of each one of these topics, and then on the slide after, there'll be a few questions which I will go through. Make sure to stick around to the end as there are a lot of marks for us to pick up from these topics. So what you need to know for the laws of indices is how to multiply indices. So when you multiply indices, if it's x to the power of n multiplied by x to the power of m, all you would do is add the index notations. So this value of x, which can be a number of letters, will stay the same, and all you add the two index numbers together. If you are dividing indices, for example, x to the power of n divided by x to the power of m, the base in this example, which is x, will stay the same, and all you do is you minus the two index numbers. If you're raising a power to a power, for example, x to the power of n to the power of m, then what you would do, again, the base number or the base letter will stay the same, and you just multiply the two index notations. The final thing which you need to know is anything to the power of 0 is equal to 1. So for example, x to the power of 0 is equal to 1. So these are the four concepts which you need to know. Let's go through some examples. The first one is a to the power of 2 multiplied by a to the power of 3. As you can see, the base letter is the same and you're multiplying these indices. So all you would do, you add these two numbers. So it's a to the power of 2 plus 3, which is equal to a to the power of 5. The next one is x to the power of 3 to the power of 4. All you do in this example is you will multiply these two index notations. Again, the base letter will stay the same. So it's x to the power of 3 times 4, which is equal to x to the power of 12. In the next example, you have 4y squared multiplied by 7y. What you need to understand is that you multiply the numbers normally. So you do 4 times 7, which equals 28. Then you have y to the power of 2 multiplied by y. Now what you need to understand is that there is an invisible 1. So it's y to the power of 2 plus 1. So the final answer is 28y to the power of 3. The next example is you're dividing. So all you do, you minus these two numbers. So it's 5 minus 2. Therefore, this is x to the power of 3. The next is anything to the power of 0 is 1. Therefore, 30 to the power of 0 is 1. For the final question, you are dividing. Again, you treat the numbers normally. You do 24 divided by 6. And then you got x to the power of 2 divided by x to the power of 5. 24 divided by 6 is equal to 4. Then you have x to the power of 2 divided by x to the power of 5. So it's 2 minus 5. Therefore, the final answer is 4x to the power of minus 3. For highest common factor and lowest common multiple, the highest common factor, or HCF, of two numbers is the biggest number that is a factor of both numbers. And we know that a factor is a whole number that divides exactly into another number without leaving a remainder. The lowest common multiple, or LCM, of two numbers is the smallest number that is a multiple of both numbers. And we know that a multiple of a number is found by multiplying one number by any other whole number. Let's go through a question. Find the highest common factor of 32 and 56. What you would do is you write the number 32 like this. Then you'll find the factors. We know that 32 is 1 times 32. Does 2 go into it? Yes, it does. It's 2 times 16. Does 3 go into it? No, it does not. Does 4 go into it? Yes, it does. It's 4 times 8. Does 5 go into 32? No, it doesn't. Does 6 go into it? No, it doesn't. Does 7 go into it? No, it doesn't. And does 8 go into it? Yes, it does. Because we have written 8, then we know that these are the factors of 32. The next thing you do is you do the same for the number 56. 1 times 56, 2 times 28, 3 doesn't go into it, 4 does, so it's 4 times 14, 5 doesn't go into it, 6 doesn't go into it, and 7 times 8. So these are all the factors of 56. What you will do now is you'll find the highest common factor, so the highest common number in both of these lists. As you can see, the highest common factor of 32 and 56 is the number 8. The next question, find the lowest common multiple of 4 and 6. What you do is you write the 4 times table, 4, 8, 12, 16, so on and so forth. And you write the 6 times table, 6, 12, 18, so on and so forth. You find the lowest common multiple, so you find the lowest common number that is in both of these lists. As you can see, it is the number 12. Therefore, we will say that the lowest common multiple of 4 and 6 is equal to 12. There is another method to work out both of these, which I may go through in a future video. For prime factor decomposition, a prime number is a number which can only be divisible by 1 and itself, so it will only have 2 factors. Prime factors are factors of a number that are also prime numbers. When we write a number as a product of its prime factors, it is called the prime factor decomposition, and the method we use to find the prime factor decomposition of a number is by using a factor tree. So write 72 as a product of its prime factors. You'd write the number 72. You'd find 2 numbers which multiply to give to 72. Preferably one has to be a prime number, so it's 2 times 36. We know that 2 is a prime number, so you'll put a circle around it. Is 36 a prime number? No, so you'll break it down again. We know that 36 is equal to 2 times 18. Again, 2 is a prime number, you put a circle around it. 18 is not a prime number, so again we'll break it down into 2 times 9. 2 is a prime number, you put a circle around it. 9 is not a prime number, therefore you'll break it down even further into 3 times 3. 3 is a prime number, and this 3 is also a prime number. Therefore, we can say that 72 is equal to 2 times by 2 times by 2 times by 3 times by 3. What you would do now is you just tidy this up a bit. You will say that 72 is equal to 2 to the power of 3 multiplied by 3 to the power of 2. You'd write these numbers in index notation. For solving equations, an equation is a mathematical expression that contains an equals symbol. Equations often contain algebra, which is used when you do not know the exact value. When a question asks you to solve, you are trying to find the value of the unknown. You want to end up with, for example, x equals something, and this is the only x you want in your answer. Well, you should know that if on one side of the equal side it is positive, when you take it to the other side it becomes negative, so it becomes the opposite. If on one side it is negative, when you take it to the other side it becomes positive. The same for multiplication. When it is times, on the other side becomes a division. When it's division, on the other side becomes a multiplication. If you square root a number, the opposite of square rooting is squaring a number, and the opposite of squaring a number is square rooting a number. So make sure you're comfortable with this bit of information. Solve the following questions. X plus 20 is equal to 32. What we want to get rid of is this plus 20. So from this side it is plus 20. When you take it to the other side it becomes minus. Therefore you line up the equal sign. Nothing has happened to this x, so we can just bring it down. Nothing has happened to this 32, so it will stay the same. This plus 20, on the other side it becomes minus 20. Therefore x is equal to 32 minus 20. We'll solve this question. Therefore x is equal to 12. For the next question we have a 5c plus 2 is equal to 22. We want to get rid of this plus 2 first of all. So again, if on this side it is a positive, when you take this plus to the other side it becomes a negative. You'll line up the equal sign. Nothing has happened to this 5c, so we'll just bring the 5c down. Nothing has happened to the 22, so we can just bring the 22 down. The only thing that has changed is this plus 2 on the other side becomes minus 2. You will solve this, so 5c is equal to 20. Now what you need to understand is that 5c means 5 times c. The opposite of timesing by 5 is dividing by 5. Therefore c is equal to 20 divided by 5. C is equal to 4. For the next question we need to expand this. First of all, you have 3 times y, which is 3y. 3 multiplied by minus 4 equals minus 12, and this is equal to 18. You have 3y minus 12 equals 18. We want to get rid of this minus 12. On the other side it becomes positive. You line up the equal sign. Nothing has happened to this 3y, so we bring it down. Nothing has happened to 18, so we bring this 18 down. The only thing that has changed is this minus 12. On the other side of the equal side it becomes plus 12. Therefore 3y is equal to 30. 3y means 3 times y. The opposite of timesing by 3 is dividing by 3. Therefore, y is equal to 30 divided by 3. Y is therefore equal to 10. For forming and solving equations, forming equation involves translating a problem from words into a mathematical statement. Usually it is based on some knowledge of perimeter, area, or angles. Determine what the question is asking, write down any relevant information, and use prior knowledge in helping you answer the question. Work out the value of y if the area of the rectangle is 36 centimeters squared. We have this rectangle. What we should know is that the area is base times height. Therefore, we can say that 3y multiplied by 4 equals the area. And they have given us the area of the rectangle. This is equal to 36 centimeters squared. Therefore, we will say that 3y multiplied by 4 is equal to 36. You will tidy this up. 3y multiplied by 4 is equal to 12y, and this is equal to 36. The opposite of timesing by 12 is dividing by 12. Therefore, y is equal to 36 divided by 12. Therefore, y is equal to 3 centimeters. For inequalities, an inequality is an algebraic statement involving the symbols greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to. To represent an inequality on a number line, we use circles. The open circle means that the value isn't included, therefore it is represented by greater than or less than, and a solid circle means that the value is included, therefore it is represented by greater than or equal to or less than or equal to. We can find the integer values that satisfy an inequality. An integer is a whole number, and inequalities are very similar to equations. The only difference is that you end up with a range of values for x rather than one specific value. They are solved in the same way as we did with equations. Let's go through these questions. On the number line, show the inequality x is greater than 12. You draw the number line. As you can see, x is greater than 12. You draw an open circle at 12 and you draw an arrow going towards the right. Minus 4 is less than or equal to y, and y is less than 3. Where y is an integer, write down all the possible values of y. We know that y is less than or equal to minus 4, so we will include minus 4. We'll include minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1, and 2. We will not include the value of 3 because y is less than 3. Y is not less than or equal to 3. Final question, solve 3t minus 2 is less than or equal to 19. We will solve this in the same way we did with equations. We will take this minus 2 to the other side. On this side it is negative, on the other side it becomes positive. Therefore this will be 3t is less than or equal to 21. And this 21 is this 19 plus 2. To get rid of this 3, we know that 3t means 3 times t. The opposite of timesing by 3 is dividing by 3. Therefore t is less than or equal to 7. Compound interest and depreciation. Interest is money that is paid regularly at a particular percentage. Compound interest means that each time interest is paid onto an amount, the added interest also receives interest from then on. It is basically interest on top of interest. Depreciation refers to when the value of something goes down over time. The value of a car usually decreases with time, therefore its value is said to depreciate. We can solve compound interest problems using the multiplier method. We know that the multiplier is equal to 100 plus or minus the interest rate divided by 100, and the amount after n years is equal to the starting amount times by the multiplier to the power of n, where n is the number of years. Let's go through a question. Adam invests £13,000 for 4 years in a savings account. He gets 1.5% per annum compound interest, and per annum means per year. Calculate his total bank balance after 4 years. So the amount after n years is equal to the starting amount times by the multiplier to the power of n, where n is the number of years. So let's solve this question. The amount after 4 years is equal to the starting amount, and the starting amount was £13,000, times by the multiplier, which is 1.015. And where did we get this 1.015? This is 100 plus 1.5, which is the interest rate, divided by 100. That gives us a value of 1.015 to the power of 4. And this 4 is the number of years. Once you put this into a calculator, you get an answer of 13,797.73 to the nearest penny. For sequences, a sequence is a pattern of numbers or shapes that follow a specific rule. The nth term of a sequence tells you how to work out the term at position n, and n can be any position in this sequence. The types of question that will occur, it will tell you to write down an expression in terms of n for the nth term of the sequence. It will also ask you to write down, for example, the 13th term of the sequence, and finally it will give you a value and ask you, is this number a term in this sequence? We are given a sequence 7, 10, 13, 16, 19. Find the nth term. What you would do is, you know that 7 is the first term, 10 is the second term, 13 is the third term, so on and so forth. You know that the common difference is plus 3. So this 3 is a number you put in front of n. We need to find the 0th term. So we go back one, and we know that the 0th term is 4. Therefore, the nth term is 3n plus 4. Write down the 10th term. All you will do is you replace this letter of n with the number 10. You will do 3 times 10 plus 4, which is equal to 34. Therefore, we would say that the 10th term is equal to 34. The final question, is 67 a term in the sequence? What you would do, you will solve this like an equation. You'd have 3n plus 4 equals 67. You would take this 4 to the other side, so 3n is equal to 63. The opposite of timesing by 3 is dividing by 3. Therefore, n is equal to 63 divided by 3, which is equal to 21. Because this is a whole number, we can therefore say that 67 is a term in this sequence. For expanding and factorising, expanding means getting rid of the bracket. So you multiply out the bracket. This is done by multiplying the term outside the brackets with each term inside the brackets. To factorise, we decide what is going to be on the outside of the brackets by finding the highest common factor. We look at the numbers and any letters. What you should understand is that expanding and factorising are opposites of one another. Let's expand this first question. You have 8 bracket 2a plus 3. What you do is you do 8 times 2a, which is 16a, and then you do 8 times 3, which equals 24. So the final answer is 16a plus 24. For the next question, we are asked to factorise. You find the biggest factor between 27 and 45, which is equal to 9. There is not a common factor between a and b. Therefore, you take a 9 outside the bracket. How do you get from 9 to 27a? You multiply it by 3a. And how do you get from 9 to minus 45b? You multiply it by minus 5b. For the final question, you are asked to expand and simplify. So what you would do is expand each one of these separately. You have 2 multiplied by f, which equals 2f. And you have 2 multiplied by 7, which equals 14. We'll expand the next one. You have 5 multiplied by 2f, which equals 10f. And you have 5 multiplied by minus 2, which equals minus 10. What you will do now is you will collect like terms. You have a 2f plus 10f, which equals 12f. And you have 14 minus 10, which equals 4. So the final answer is 12f plus 4. For Pythagoras' theorem, it is a formula you can use to calculate the length of any of the sides on a right angled triangle or the distance between 2 points. Pythagoras' theorem is a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. If you are looking for the longest side, you will square it, add it, square root it. If you are looking for a shorter side, you will square it, subtract it, and then square root it. So in this first example, we are trying to find the value of a. As we are trying to find a longer side, what you would do is square it, add it, square root it. Always start with a bigger number. You have 15 squared, which equals 225. Then you do 8 squared, which equals 64. You will add these two numbers together, which equals 289. The final step is to square root this number. Therefore, a is equal to 17 centimeters. For the next question, we are looking for a shorter side. Therefore, you would square it, subtract it, then square root it. Again, always start with a bigger number. You would do 13 squared, which equals 169. Then you do a 5 squared, which equals 25. You will subtract it, so you subtract these two numbers from one another, which is equal to 144. Final step is to square root it. So a is equal to the square root of 144. Therefore, A is equal to 12 centimeters. Angles in parallel lines. Parallel lines are always an equal distance apart and therefore will never intersect, i.e. they will never meet. The four types of angles which we will learn are vertically opposite angles, corresponding angles which make a F shape, alternate angles which make a Z shape, and co-interior angles which make a C shape. So we have these parallel lines and we have a line that goes through them. We're trying to find the value of A. A will say is equal to 30 degrees because vertically opposite angles are equal. For the value of B, B is also equal to 30 because angle A and angle B are corresponding angles. For the next question, we can work out what the value of C. C is equal to 113 because angle 113 and angle C are alternate angles. And because we know the value of C, we can work out the value of D. D is equal to 67 degrees because angles along a straight line add up to 180 degrees. So this value of C and this value of D would add up to 180 degrees because they are along a straight line. Angles in polygons. A polygon is a 2D shape that is made up of straight lines. They are flat and closed. A regular polygon is when all its sides have the same length and all its interior angles are equal. The type of question that may occur is it will ask you to find the size of the exterior angle, the size of the interior angle, the sum of the interior angles, or the number of sides of a polygon. We know that the exterior angle is 360 degrees divided by the number of sides, and the sum of interior angles of a polygon is equal to n minus 2 multiplied by 180, where n is the number of sides. Work out the exterior angle of a regular 10-sided polygon. We know that the exterior angle is 360 degrees divided by the number of sides. Therefore, the exterior angle is 360 degrees divided by 10 because it is a regular 10-sided polygon. Therefore, the answer is 36 degrees. Find the sum of the interior angles on a regular 10-sided polygon and the size of each angle. We know that the sum of interior angles of a polygon is equal to n minus 2 multiplied by 180. Therefore, you do 10 minus 2 multiplied by 180, which is equal to 1440 degrees. So the sum of the interior angles of this 10-sided polygon is equal to 1440 degrees. To find the size of each angle, you will do 1440 divided by the number of sides, which equals 10. Therefore, each interior angle is equal to 144 degrees. For the surface area of a 3D shape is the total area of all the faces. The surface area of a cuboid can be calculated by adding together the area of the 6 faces. To work out the area of a triangle, it is base times height divided by 2. And to work out the area of a trapezium, it is a plus b divided by 2 times by the perpendicular height. Work out the surface area of the cuboid below. We'll work out the front face. This will be 6 times 5. So the front is 6 times 5, which equals 30 centimeters squared. The front and the back are the same. So the back will also be 30 centimeters squared. The next one which we'll work out is the top and the bottom. We know that the bottom is 6 multiplied by 3, which is equal to 18 centimeters squared. The bottom and the top are the same, so the top is also 18 centimeters squared. The final faces which we need to work out are the sides. This side is 3 times 5, which equals 15 centimeters squared. The right side and the left side are the same, so the second side is also equal to 15 centimeters squared. You add all of these values together and you get a total surface area of 126 centimeters squared. Remember, when you're working out the surface area, it will be in units squared. For the volume is the amount of space that a 3-dimensional object takes up. A prism is a 3D shape that has a constant cross-section. Therefore, the volume of a prism is the area of the cross-section multiplied by the depth. Work out the volume of the cuboid below. We know that the volume is equal to the area of the cross-section multiplied by the depth. The cross-section is this front face, which is 7 multiplied by 9, which is equal to 63 centimeters squared. Then you multiply this by the depth, so it's 63 multiplied by 3, which is equal to 189 centimeters cubed. Remember, when you're working in volume, it is units cubed. For cylinders, a cylinder is a prism with a circular top and bottom. The area of a circle is equal to pi times r squared. The circumference, which is the perimeter of a circle, is equal to 2 times pi times r. The volume of a prism is equal to the area of the cross section multiplied by the depth. And we know that the area of the cross section will be pi times r squared multiplied by the depth, which is the height. And the surface area of a cylinder is equal to 2 pi rh plus 2 pi r squared. So in most of these questions, all you would need is the value of the radius, which is r, and the value of the height if you're working out the volume. Work out the volume and surface area for the cylinder. We have been given the height, which is 10 centimeters, and we have been given the radius, which is equal to 5 centimeters. We know that the volume is equal to pi times r squared multiplied by h. Therefore, you do pi times 5 squared because the radius is 5 multiplied by the height, which is equal to 10. 5 squared is equal to 25. 25 times 10 is 250, and 250 multiplied by pi is equal to 250 pi. Once you get to this stage, you can put this into your calculator. You'll get an answer of 785.4 centimeters cubed to one decimal place. For the surface area, it is 2 pi rh plus 2 pi r squared. Once you put some values in, you'll get 2 pi times 5 times 10 plus 2 pi times 5 squared. Once you tidy this up, you'll get 150 pi. Again, once you get to this stage, you can put this into your calculator. You'll get a final answer of 471.2 centimeters squared to one decimal place. Again, because we are working in surface area, it is units squared. For loci, loci are a series of points that obey certain conditions. There are 4 types you need to know. That is one point which creates a circle, one line which creates a running track, 2 points which creates a perpendicular bisector, and 2 lines which creates an angle bisector. A perpendicular bisector is a line which cuts a line segment into 2 equal parts at 90 degrees. An angle bisector is a line which bisects an angle into 2 equal angles. And you need to know how to combine loci, and you need to look out for the word shade the region. Below is a scale drawing of a park. The scale is 1 centimeter to 2 meters. A play area is going to be built. The play area must be more than 4 meters from the road, and it must be more than 6 meters from the pond. Shade the region where the play area can be built. As the scale is 1 centimeter to 2 meters, we know that this 4 meters it will be represented by 2 centimeters, which is shown by this line, and it must be more than 6 meters from the pond. So as it is 6 meters, we know that on the scale it will be 3 centimeters, which is indicated by this part of a circle. The final bit of the question says shade the region. So as you can see, the play area can be built anywhere where this has been shaded. For construction, shapes, for example triangles, can be accurately constructed if we have information about them. You will need a protractor, a pair of compasses, and a ruler. We can create SAS triangles, which is when we have the lengths of 2 sides and the size of the angle in between. We can create ASA triangles. The size of 2 angles and the length of the side in between is needed. And the final one is SSS triangles, and the lengths of all 3 sides are needed. For the first question, make an accurate drawing of a triangle with lengths 5 centimeters and 7 centimeters with an angle of 50 degrees in between. So it will look something like this. You have 5 centimeters, you have 7 centimeters, and you have this angle which is in between of 50 degrees. For these types of questions, make sure you leave your construction lines. For the second question, make an accurate drawing of a triangle with the angles 37 degrees and 45 degrees with a side of length 8 centimeters in between. Again, it will look something like this. You have 8 centimeters along the bottom, you have 37 degrees on the left, and you have this other angle of 45 degrees. For the final question, make an accurate drawing of a triangle with sides of a length 4 centimeters, 6 centimeters, and 7 centimeters. So your triangle will look something like this. For a better understanding of this topic, make sure to watch the video I created on this topic previously, which can be found in the description below. So plans and elevation. A plan and elevation allow us to visualize a 3D shape in 2D by looking at it from different perspectives. The perspectives which we need to know is the plan, which is a view from above, the front elevation, which is the view from the front, and the side elevation, which is a view from one of the sides. The type of question that may occur is it will ask you to draw the front, side, and plan elevation for the solid, or it will ask you to draw a sketch of the solid shape. For this question, it asks us to draw a sketch of the solid shape. So what we will do, we will label this as the front. As you can see, the front, it will be drawn as shown. The side will be drawn like this. And the plan is this 4×2. So this is a sketch of the solid shape which we got from the front, side, and plan elevations. For bearings, bearings tell us in what direction something is. It is measured from the north line, it is measured in a clockwise direction, and it is an angle written as 3 figures. The way you do this is you draw a straight line between both points, mark the north line at B if there isn't a north line drawn in, measure the angle clockwise from the north line to A, and then give the answer as a 3-figure bearing. Obviously, this value of this letter of B can change depending on the question. Let's go through this question. The bearing from point A to point B is 130 degrees. What is the bearing from B to point A? So what you would do is you draw a north line at B. You know that if this is 130 degrees, then this over here is also 130 degrees because this north line and this north line are parallel. And we know that this remaining angle is 180 degrees because it is along a straight line. Therefore, all you would do is you do 130 degrees plus 180 degrees. Therefore, the bearing from point B to point A is equal to 310 degrees. For distance time graphs, a distance time graph plots the distance an object travels against the time it takes it to travel. In a distance time graph, the horizontal axis shows time and the vertical axis shows distance. Also, you need to know how to use the distance, speed, time triangle. The graph shows a cyclist's journey from home to another city and back. How long in total was the cyclist stationary during his journey? What you should know is that the horizontal represents stationary. So he was stationary at this point, which is for half an hour, and he was stationary from this point to this point, which is an hour. Therefore, in total, he was stationary for 1 hour and 30 minutes. The second question, how far did the cyclist travel in total? As you can see, he traveled 35 away from his house and he traveled 35 back to his house. Therefore, the cyclist traveled 70 miles in total. What was the cyclist's speed on the way home? What you should know is that speed is equal to distance divided by time. The distance on the way home was 35. The time was 2.5 hours. Therefore, the cyclist's speed on the way home was 14 miles per hour. What was the cyclist's greatest speed? What you should know is that the greatest speed is shown by this line because it has the greatest gradient. Again, to work out speed, it is distance divided by time. The distance is from this point, which is 15 miles, to this point, which is 35 miles. And it took him 1 hour to do that. Therefore, the cyclist's greatest speed was 20 miles per hour. For relative frequency is the estimated probability of an event occurring. It is found by conducting an experiment or collecting data and comparing the number of times the event occurs with the number of experiments conducted. Therefore, we can say that relative frequency is the number of successful trials divided by the total number of trials. Expected frequency is how many times you would expect to see an outcome in a given number of trials based on the relative frequency. Therefore, we can say that the expected frequency is equal to that relative frequency multiplied by the number of trials. There are only red, blue, white, and black counters in a bag. The table shows the probability of a counter being taken out at random. The probability of getting a red is 0.1, and we know that the probability of getting a blue is 0.3. What you should know is that all of these probabilities need to add up to 1. Let's go through the question. The probability of getting a black counter is the same as the probability of getting a white counter. Work out the probability of getting a white counter. Therefore, we can say that 0.1 plus 0.3 plus x, which is this unknown for white, and this other value of x, which is this unknown for black, is equal to 1. Once you tidy this up, you'll get 2x plus 0.4 is equal to 1. What we will do now is solve for x. We'll take this 0.4 to the other side. So it's 1 minus 0.4, which equals to 0.6. Therefore, 2x is equal to 0.6. You will divide both sides by 2. Therefore, x is equal to 0.6 divided by 2. X is equal to 0.3. Therefore, the probability of getting a white counter is 0.3. And the probability of getting a black, as it is the same as getting a white, is also 0.3. For the next question, there are 240 counters in the bag. Work out the number of red counters in the bag. So what you would do is you would do the relative frequency of getting a red multiplied by this 240. Therefore, 0.1 times 240 is equal to 24 red counters. For scatter graphs, we need to know that scatter graphs are used to display two sets of data. The types of correlation which we need to know is positive correlation, negative correlation, and no correlation. And we need to know that a line of best fit is a straight line drawn with a ruler that goes through the middle of your points. So in this first scatter graph, it is positive correlation. This second scatter graph shows a negative correlation. And the final scatter graph shows no correlation. And what you should know is that if it is no correlation, it will have no line of best fit. So on the left, we are given a scatter graph which is comparing math mark against English mark. The table shows the test scores of 2 more students. Show this information on the scatter graph. For this student, the maths mark was 56 and his English mark was 62. You can plot this as shown here. And for the second student, it is 73 against 68, which is shown here. For question B, what type of correlation does this graph show? As you can see, it is a positive correlation. As the maths mark increases, the English mark also increases. The final question is another student scored 25 on the maths test. Use the scatter graph to estimate this student's score on the English test. Because it says estimate, you need to use a line of best fit. So you draw a line of best fit which goes through as many points as possible. You go to 25 on the math mark and you draw a line straight up until it touches the line of best fit. And then you go across until you go to English mark. As you can see, this value is approximately 36 marks. Finally, we'll go through frequency tables. Frequency refers to the number of times an event or a value occurs. A frequency table is a table that lists items and shows the number of times the items occur. We can calculate the averages from the data by looking at the frequency table. The 4 averages which we will calculate are the mode, range, median, and mean. And we use grouped data when the data we have collected is continuous, i.e. it can take any value, to get an overview of the data. From grouped data, we find the modal class, the class where the median lies, and an estimate for the mean. For the first question, find the mode, range, median, and mean for the table below. The mode is the class which has the highest frequency, which is equal to 7. The range is 9 minus 5, which is equal to 4. The median, which is the 12.5th value, is equal to 7. And the mean is 168 divided by 24, which is equal to 7. Again, if you need further clarification on how we got these numbers, then please refer to the video I created on frequency tables, and the link can be found in the description below. For the next question, find the modal class, the class where the median lies, and an estimate for the mean for the table below. The modal class is the class which has the highest frequency. As you can see, the highest frequency is 9. Therefore, the modal class is 15 to 19. The class where the median lies is the 16th value, which is equal 10 to 14. And an estimate for the mean is this 387 divided by 31, which is equal to 12.483870, which is equal to 12.48 to 2 decimal places. So we have completed a wide range of grade 4 topics. Make sure to follow me on all of the socials below, and if you require further support, you can follow the Telegram group which has just been created. If you have been able to benefit, then please share with others so they can also benefit. Hopefully I'll see everyone safe and sound for the next one, and as always, take care of yourselves.